To graph this, there's a couple ways. One is to look at the y-intercept, which is this number that doesn't have an x next to it. So it's -3. The graph will cross the y-axis at -3, so -1, 2, 3. Both of these are a possibility, and the slope is 5. So from here it goes up 5. So up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1. Yeah, so this is the right answer. It just has an X because it wasn't your first choice. But if you want to actually plot points, you can pick any numbers you want for X, and then you solve for Y, or vice versa. So you just have a chart here of what X and Y are. Let's say X is 0, let's say X is 1, X is 5, X is 2. You can pick any numbers you want, and then you just plug them in here and see what Y would be. If X was 0, Y would equal 0 minus 3. If X was 1, Y would equal 5 times 1, so 5 minus 3. If X was 5, Y would equal 25 minus 3. If X was 2, Y would equal 10 minus 3. So you can really choose anything you want. You could also choose numbers for Y. Sometimes that's easier. You could, depending on the equation. So you could pick numbers for Y, plug those in, and figure out what X would be. And this one, it's probably easier to pick for X. But so when it says plot 4 points, you really get to just pick which points you want to plot, pick a number for X, and then solve to see what Y would be. Sometimes you'll pick a number, like let's do this Y example. Let's say you picked Y to be 0, you'd have 0 equals 5x minus 3, add 3 to both sides. So sometimes you pick something, divide by 5, and it doesn't come out to a nice point to plot. So you wouldn't want to plot x is 3/5, y is 0, so you would go ahead and restart and pick a different number. Like these 4 all worked out good, so you'd go with that. For this one, in your email you said, how do you get points for y equals 1/2 x plus 8? That's very close to what you want to be doing. If you subtract the x from both sides, you're going to have 2y equals -x plus 8. And then when you divide by the 2, you'll get actually a -1/2 x. But also note you have to divide everything by the 2, so now it's only plus 4. So again, you can use the y-intercept as 4 and you go down 1 over 2. You can graph it that way. Oh, clicked on something. So we're at 4, we go down 1 over 2 to stay on the line. But if you want to actually plot points, again, just make a table and pick something for x. Let's say x is 0, and y would equal 0 plus 4. Let's say x is 2. 2 times the -1/2 would be -1 plus 4. So just pick x's or y's, plug them in, and solve for the other value would be. So this one I would graph using the slope-intercept form. Whenever it's solved for y, you can do that. And I mentioned it a couple times already in this email. The number in front of x is what you're really looking at for the slope, and the number at the end is the y-intercept. So both of these lines need to cross the y-axis at 1. So you would look at your choices here, and they have to cross the y-axis at 1, so that's an option. This is actually your only option. On A, this one line crosses at 1, but this line crosses the y at 0. And see here, this line crosses at 4, and this one crosses at 0, so it's wrong. They should both cross at 1. And then you can use this number here for the slope. This graph goes up 4 over 1. So up 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Up 2, 3, 4 over 1. So this is a graph of that top line. And the bottom graph goes down 1 and right 4. So down 1 and right 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1, right 2, 3, 4. So that bottom line is graphed right there. Alright, so for this question, trying to find a lot of stuff about this equation here. So the x-intercepts, we're looking at where does the graph cross the x-axis. So when you cross the x-axis, sorry about that. When you cross the x-axis, the y value is 0 because you haven't gone up or down at all. You're right on the x-axis. So that's how you solve for that. You would plug a 0 in for the y part and see what x has to be. What is it? X squared plus 2x minus 48. So to solve that, you would want to factor. So it'd be plus 8 x minus 6. So the two solutions to that then would be, this part could be 0, so x could equal negative 8, or this part could be 0, so x would equal 6. So your intercepts there, x is negative 8, or x is 6. And I want to jump right down after that to the y-intercept. So skipping ahead, because for the x-intercept we put a 0 in there for what the y would be. For the y-intercept, we want to just put a 0 in here wherever we see an x. So we're going to have y equals 0, 0, and then minus 48. So you're done right there. When x is 0, y is going to be negative 48. So that's what would be, I guess I can go to that. That's what would be here for the y-intercept. Now the domain is, for a quadratic like this, is always negative infinity to infinity. By default, the domain is always all the numbers. If a certain equation has division by 0 or a negative under a square root sign, that's going to exclude some numbers. But there's no division here, there's no square roots, so it's just going to be all the numbers. The range is the y values we're looking at, the output from this equation. And we need to find the vertex before we really see the range. So for the vertex, a couple ways you can do it. There's a formula that the x point is going to be negative b over 2a. So remember, in our formula, the number in front of the x squared is a, the next number is b, and the next number is c. So negative b would be a negative 2 over 2 times the number in front of x squared, so 2 times 1 over 2. So we get a negative 1. So this formula always gives you the x coordinate of the vertex, and then you just need to plug it in to see what the y would be. So negative 1 squared would be 1, plus 2 times negative 1, minus 2, and then minus 48. So you get negative 49, and that's where you get the vertex coordinate. And the graph goes from the vertex all the way up and continues up forever. So the range then would be negative 49 all the way up to infinity.